Welcome to the Connected Spirit Podcast, a space where the mystical and the human experience merge, where we explore what it really means to walk a spirit-led path. I'm Courtney Dawson, an ethical medium and mentor, and for as long as I can remember, I have felt the presence of the spirit world. But my journey hasn't been simple. It's been one of self-discovery, healing from religious and emotional trauma, navigating fear, judgment, and the loneliness that comes with embracing something the world doesn't always understand. This podcast is here to take what was once considered woo and bring it into the real lived experience of being human. Because mediumship isn't just something we do, it's who we are. Here we dive into the conversations no one else is having, breaking down misconceptions, exploring the unseen, and normalizing the journey of deep connection. We'll talk about the beauty and the struggle of being a medium. We'll laugh, we'll reflect, we'll go deep. And most importantly, we'll remember who we are, why we're here, and how spirit moves through us all. So if you've ever felt something more, if you've ever questioned the unseen, or if you're simply ready to embrace the fullness of your spiritual path, you're in the right place. Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome back to the Connected Spirit Podcast. Today, we have an incredible guest that I'm really excited to introduce you to. Her name is Sheila Marie. She's a reverend, world-recognized forensic consultant, psychic medium, and an active minister within an interfaith ministry. She's a master teacher and spiritual counselor. She's been featured on many national radio shows and has demonstrated her gifts internationally with FBI and numerous agencies. She's also assisted in many notorious missing person and criminal cases. She has successfully connected families and agencies with data and landmarks. Sheila, it's so good to have on the show. You wear a lot of hats. And before we get into your forensic mediumship, who is Reverend Sheila Marie behind the title? What kind of kid were you?
Oh, what kind of kid was I? I was just your average kid. Actually, I was very quiet, but as I got older, I had to go outside my shell to be more social. So I'm just your regular old person, just like everybody else.
Were you always intuitive, or did that come later on in your life?
When I was little, my mom used to always say to me, she's psychic. And I was like, oh my God, don't say that to me. That's horrible. I'm from a Roman Catholic family and it was like voodoo. Don't say that. I would say I was always intuitive, but I didn't think anything of it. I just thought everybody else was like that. When I was younger, I can attest that I was afraid of the dark. Everything was very sensitive to me around me. Everything was always heightened. As my hormones came in, that's when I started having experiences. I don't look at myself any special than anybody else. I believe that everybody's able to connect to spirit. Some people come in it because they want to learn. Some people, it's a life purpose. It's a calling. For me, it was a calling. It's like learning how to play the piano. You can be a Bach or just a semi-pro. That's a football player.
I totally agree with you. I've always believed that everybody has the ability to connect to spirit to varying degrees, right? Just like somebody can learn to play a musical instrument. Not everybody wants to. Not everybody's meant to take it to professional level. And that's not from a place of ego. It's just we all have different interests and different soul callings. You have had a career in law enforcement, something people might not expect from a world-renowned medium. What drew you to that work originally, and what did you learn about people and truth and instinct and intuition in that field?
I'm from a policing family. My
Okay.
dad ended up being a chief of police. Everybody in the family was police. So that was my world. When I became a little bit older, I became security and really became a police officer because I needed a job. So that's how I chose to be one. It wasn't like a life purpose thing for me, more like this is just what we do and this is how we make money. I didn't understand it at the time, but the universe was setting a foundation for me for later on in life. I was a rape investigator, the police academies, and I learned being intuitive. And although I learned the mechanics of law enforcement, but I also learned the mechanics of intuition at the same time on a political level and all kinds of stuff. So I do believe now that I look back at everything that, and I'm sure you do too, and most people do, you look back in your life and everything is the foundation of what's coming. If you really pay attention to it. I hadn't a clue that I would be doing this at all. It was nothing that I had chosen in my life at that time.
And when did you have this moment where you're like, okay, I'm going to be transitioning out of law enforcement and
Yeah.
having this clear inner knowing, like mediumship is that next step for you. Did something just switch on, or was it like
Well,
awakening?
it was like overnight.
Okay.
Let's see, where should I start? I was into Catholic church and all that kind of stuff. And I was a Sunday school teacher, which is nothing wrong with that. And you
Oh,
can be spiritual doing that as well. But I wasn't in the new age world. One time I was on my bed. My daughter was like 2 years old, and I was talking to my sister-in-law, who was very into readings and all that kind of stuff. It was raining outside, and I shut the window. I was looking at the end of my bed where the bathroom was, and I saw an image of a light in the bathroom, and it was like this, and I'm thinking, oh my God, right? And she's,
yeah.
what is it? I'm like, I'm in my bathroom. She's, what's going on? I'm like, oh my God. And then it flew across the room, and I'm pretty sure it was an energy ball because it had just lightning up, but she's convinced it was a ghost. It was a spirit. Spirit. Oh my God. I know who you need to see. And I'm thinking, what? I'm like, yeah, okay, whatever. So that Christmas, I got a gift certificate, go meet your spirit guide class. And I'm like, what the heck is that? What does that even mean? And I said, I'm not doing that. So I put the gift certificate in the cabinet. I didn't want to insult her. I'm like, oh, thank you. And then about a year later, I said, I should probably go to that class because she's going to ask me about it. Why don't I just go and get it over with? When I was around 11 years old, my dad had a hypnosis business on the side. He used to do hit and run cases. He was doing mediumship, but they called it hypnosis. When I would visit him, he would always say, Sheila, sit down on the couch, close your eyes. He'd get me in a meditative state at a young age. So I was very comfortable with this meditative state and manifesting and all that kind of stuff. I thought everybody did that with their parents, but that really wasn't the scenario. So I get into this class, and there's about 20 people in the class, and the woman says, the teacher, she's the guide, she goes, okay, everybody close your eyes. Let's do a meditation. I'm like, oh my God, I know how to do this. So I'm in the meditation. For me, I was excited and I felt very trusting. I was able to let go, and I got into a very deep meditation, and everything started happening. I started seeing things I wasn't thinking. And I'm thinking, oh my God, what was that? I came out and I was crying. Then I went home and I told my husband, I have to do this. He goes, you have to do what? I said, I need to teach people how to connect. He's, what are you talking about? I said, like mediumship. He goes, what's that? And I'm like readings. It's all great. And I'm like, you know what? It's okay. You can divorce me if you want to, but if I don't do this, I'm going to die. He's, what? If I don't teach people how to connect with their mediumship, who they are, I'm going to die. He's, you're kidding me. I'm like, no, everybody's able to do this, not just me, everyone. I didn't even know what a calling was, but to me, that was my calling. And that's one my life purpose. And that's how I came. And I just dove right into it after that. It was hard. It was very hard for me. You know how that is, right?
Yeah, definitely. This is a profound moment. You go to one class and it blows your whole world open.
Yeah.
What did that development journey look like? Because some people think, oh, I just take a weekend workshop and now I'm a medium, but we know
Mm.
there's so much more to it than that. What did those first steps look like for you to really help you understand and refine your abilities?
I didn't tell anybody. I didn't want anyone to judge me because I was the biggest skeptic. I know what these people are thinking, and I didn't want people to think that of me. That took many years to overcome. But I knew that I needed to do this. I found a teacher and I started developing my went to psychic development and through mediumship as well. It took a year or two to develop. And then during that period, Spirit's always showing you something every 2 weeks. There's a new lesson to learn. You're building on
Yeah.
that foundation. My intent was to teach people how to connect.
Mm.
I didn't really care about readings. I just wanted to teach people, hey, guess what you can do? But at that time, I needed to learn readings. The more I did it, the more I learned. And I'm sure you understand this, that you learn about yourself and you become
Yeah.
enlightened. And it's a connection to the divine. And it's beautiful. You start to bloom like out of this mucky swamp, like a lotus. And so I started developing. For me, it was a calling. So I had to put blinders on and not worry what people were thinking of me. I needed to stay focused.
Mm.
And the more people I helped, the more it was easy for me to do that.
Yeah.
And I realized that I'm working for spirit, I'm working for the divine, and I'm choosing to work for spirit. because you have to make that choice, because spirit will work with you if you do that. The universe will bring you what you need. Like even in forensics, I don't ask for forensics. Like I don't search cases, they come to me because the universe knows what's best for me. The divine knows what's best for me. My guides know what's best for me. It's a whole different way of looking at life. Your whole life changes because there's no such thing as time. Time is man-made. It's that I call it the inner light system. Your inner light system is completely different than your man-made one. You're learning a part of you that exists and that is beautiful and that connects to everything in the universe. It's definitely life-changing, but also it goes back to the basics in who you are and who you came here as. And we forget that because we're so much living in our own little material world as humans with ego and all of that. And that blocks the connection. When I teach people, my goal is to get them back to that space when they first came here.
This is
Yeah.
incredible. And you're just so authentic and transparent about this. And I know that people that are listening to this episode are going to be like, she's talking my language. Now,
Yeah.
forensic mediumship is a very specific calling. How did you start getting involved in actual cases, and how did spirit show up differently when the stakes were that high? This is more
Yeah.
just connecting a loved one with their departed.
So I'm glad you asked. I'll tell you. So in the beginning, for the first 5 years, nobody knew I was a medium. I would drive an hour away, rented a space, and then people would come for meetings. I drive an hour back. I had children. I became the mom, the wife, the political partner. My husband was a cop at the time too.
Mm.
I lived a double life. I started doing readings, and then I ended up having my own space and meditation centers. It was really hard for me to be called a psychic.
Yeah.
I like my friend Sheila, you have to put psychic on your card. I'm like, that's not who I am. They're like, yes, but people will know you as psychic. I'm like, no, I'm not a psychic. I was caught in between what people think that is and all that. And I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
want that. My goal was to teach classes. So from day one, I was always teaching what I learned. I started classes right away. I was actually taught in a very old school way where the mentorship was old school. And I didn't care for that very much. So I changed it to a little bit of a contemporary teaching instead. I made my own little blueprint in teaching. I add the old school stuff in there, but it's not so controlled. So
Yeah.
there's no boundaries. And so I did many readings. Spirit was sending me thousands of people. I couldn't believe it. I advertised one time and I got so many people like, oh my God, what do I do? And this was just being readings and stuff. So I said, okay, so I'm just this is practice. The more you do it, the more you practice, the more spirit shows you. The higher you go, there is no ending to being medium. Even when you feel you're at your peak, you're still learning and there'll be no perfect medium. And if you ever think that your ego's in the way, you go back to class, right? So one time I got a call and I had my own studio at this time. And I got a call from a man, his name was Kevin. He says, oh, I work for a historical society now. I'm from the Boston area in Massachusetts, and that's where the Revolutionary War started. And he was part of the Sudbury Historical Society, there where all this happened. He says, we are looking for some information. Can you come out and stand in a field and take us through it in your mind? I'm like, sure. We ended up having a collaboration. I would go out there every Sunday and they were working with the Smithsonian, finding facts. We ended up making a documentary. It really was great. Kevin was actually looking for the Babe Ruth piano. Do you know who Babe Ruth is?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so he was a fellow Yankee Red Sox baseball player, famous.
Yeah.
He lived in this town, and for 30 years, the environmental state police were looking in this pond with zero visibility for this piano he may have thrown in there. My friends don't even know that I'm a medium. My inner circle did a little bit, but even that was scary for me because when you're an empath, you can feel everything and you know what
Yeah.
they're thinking. You can hear it. I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
God, it's horrible. So that we had established a trust. And every Sunday they would take me somewhere and I never knew where we were going because they would cover signs with jackets and sheets. So I get out there and I see the water. It's just me and another guy. His name is Lee. He was part of the Historical Society. And all of a sudden I saw a flash in my head, which is like a daydream. And I saw the green monster. And for those of you who don't know, the green monster is a wall at Fenway Park in Boston where the Red Sox play.
Okay.
And I said, oh, Kevin, this is that baseball thing. isn't it? He's, oh, come on, Sheila, just give us 10 minutes. I'm like, I don't want anything to do it. Now you have to understand, I didn't want anyone to know what I was doing and I was scared. So I said, all right, I'll give you 10 minutes in my head. But then after that, let's get back to work. Okay, sure. So we agreed upon that. So we walked around the water and I walked up a hill and I picked up a stick. And Kevin came to me through the divine. He was a gift for me because what he did was he would ask me a question in certain ways, and then boom, I get flashes. He knew how to work my mind. It was like a collaboration him and I had made throughout the 6 months. But what he was doing, the spirit was doing for him, was they were teaching me how to do forensics. I didn't realize it at the time, but because I could only do it when he asked me, and I started seeing nautical marks. They knew what it was. I hadn't a clue. And I'm like, oh, I'm seeing this and that. What does this mean? And I'm trying to interpret it. The next day, they tricked me. I'm not surprised, but it was okay. I'm okay with it now. They had a permit for the pond and they had state divers. And the next day, they went out and searched it and found the piano in 10 minutes. I wanted to die. Honestly, I'm like, oh no, what's going to happen? The news people came, helicopter was all over the news. They went all the way from Australia to Japan to India. I'm like, oh my God, the universe, the divine said, you're coming out today. I didn't have a choice. And so, of course, in the media, the worst things that they could say about psychics were being said, but it didn't matter. I had to understand that I'm working for the divine. These people don't matter because I'm helping people. So Nick, long story short, Kevin says, oh, I think you should step this up a little bit. And so he throws me a case and he goes, what? He throws me a woman's face. He goes, tell me about her. And I said, I don't know. He goes, do the questions that we do. I'm like, okay, fine. So I established that. And that was one of my first cases. But the next thing I know, I'm getting knocks on the door from agents. Could you help us with this homicide? I'm thinking, oh my God. And it just fell in my lap. It's really funny because my teacher in that first class, she knew I was a police officer. She goes, oh, you're going to be working with the police someday. And I said, no, I'm not going back. I had kids. I'm done. No more policing for me. I'm like, and I thought to myself, she's out of her mind. She's lying to me. She's just saying that to me because she knows I'm a police officer. She was right. Who knew 20 years later? I'm like, wow. Yeah, so that's how it was presented to me. That's how I fell into forensics. I didn't search it, it came to me, you know?
That just shows the intelligence of the spirit world and really your soul coming together for this collaboration of this really important work. In
Yeah.
any of your cases, do you have spirit communicators, so people who are deceased providing you information to help
Yeah.
solve maybe their cases? And if so, what is one piece of information that they gave you where you're like, holy, this is wild, and that helped solve that case? This is
Yeah.
fascinating.
So I'll drink the coffee. I'll drink some too.
I'm
Just
having
kidding.
tea. I'm having my
I
tea.
need to have some water. Hold on. My vodka, I tell everybody I'm drinking. I'm don't even drink, but I'm joking. That happens all the time, honestly, because everyone automatically thinks forensics is like missing persons. Forensics means data and information. Every case I've done is completely different. I never know what's going to happen. My guides are the ones who I'm working for. So I always get clearance from my guides, and they show me what I need. A few years ago, all of a sudden, not only can I go and get the information, I'm getting dreams. I have a premonition here and there. This is different. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I know this is my calling now. I don't have a choice. This is really happening to me. One of my first dreams I've talked about before, and I always go back to the first cases because that's the most wow. Is it my guides? Absolutely, it's my guides. Is spirit communicating too? Yes, absolutely. And I feel that my guides are showing me what I need to see. I believe my guides are running the show for me. You know what I mean? Because that's who I'm working for. I don't allow just spirits to come in like that. My guides are protecting me and always working for me as that mediator. In this one case, I had a dream, but it's interesting. What I did see was the top of a little boy's head, and it was blonde. And as I was seeing everything, I always saw that underneath me. The way I work my mediumship is I always am connected with my guides. I don't see my guides, but I know they're in control. My higher consciousness. So this dream, this boy had been missing. It was a cold case, but the family had come to me And I didn't know any, and that's another thing. I never know anything. All I ask is the person's first name. Sometimes I don't even ask that. I said, don't tell me anything. I don't know if it's a missing persons, homicide. I don't know anything. Unless it's at a point where they need to tell me. I'm in the dream, and I'll never forget it. I was in a city in the United States. I try to be protective of my cases too, because just because a case happened doesn't mean that it's not alive, because people have family and friends and suspects and all that. It's very messy. So anyways, I'm in the dream, and the boy is taking me. I'm visualizing over his head going in like a store when he's showing me underground. And then he shows me a certain wall and he's pointing, and I'm seeing like a school bus. Oh, no, really, I'm seeing a frame of a school bus on a wall. What he was talking about was school and a bus stop. But the way Spirit showed me, a lot of times I'll get accuracy, but Spirit will show me what I need to feel. I got all the information, so much where I even heard a number and everything was it's unbelievable. It's like you go in the dream and all of a sudden it's like football lights turn on and you're there. You know what it's like? Wow.
Yeah.
It's an inner sensory thing. It's an out of body experience in a sense too. It's really funny. When I'm telling you all this, I automatically go back to those visions because everything is files, everything is vibration. Every thought, every feeling, every inner. So you can go and you can just pull from it too, but they're showing me what I'm trying to say. I had another time where I was on a case when I was actually, I'll go back to the American Revolution. I'm seeing the spirits, I'm describing them, this and that. And then I'm starting to recite poems and stuff that I've never heard of and songs and stuff. And the people know exactly who I'm talking about, but I don't have a clue. I'm going on and on about different types of people.
Let's go back to that little boy. You saw the back of his head, and then you're looking over, and like this picture, there's a school bus, and he's giving you information in the dream to help you
Yeah.
solve the case.
Yes, I'm getting chills just as I'm getting confirmation from Spirit. Now, what was really interesting about this case, I went into the store type thing, and he showed me on the bottom was a lip, was a metal lip. And I have to try to figure it out afterwards. I was walking into a man-made freezer. And then the next thing I know, I'm upstairs and this man looks down at me. I saw his face, everything, and he's smiling at me. Saw him clear as day. And then I woke up. And I said, what the hell was that? So I drew the man. I'm not an artist, just so you know. I can barely draw an apple or a banana. And so anyways, I drew this guy's face. He just comes right through me. I'm allowing the universe and Spirit to come through me and use me as a vessel, as a channel. So I drew the guy's face, this and that. So every night for 2 or 3 weeks, I had a dream. This boy showed me all kinds of stuff. I would wake up and I write it all down. Later on, the family comes in. And I said, okay, you can have a seat. And they tell me the boy's first name. Of course, I know it's a boy now, but they don't know that I know this. So I tell them, this is my experience and what I've had. And I'm pretty sure this has to do with your person. But if it's not, that's okay. I told them everything. I showed them everything that I had, and the lady's in tears crying. It was very accurate. I'm like, wow. And I'm like, that's crazy. You understand that? That's unbelievable. That's wow.
Yeah.
For me. I have an adrenaline rush. I'm like, oh wow. And I got to stay in check. I can't let the ego go. This is Spirit showing me. A couple weeks later, maybe a month later or so, I'm working with the missing persons unit in that city now. They've connected me to the people, the FBI is involved, everything. They showed me a lineup and pictures. And they said, which one? I said, this one, 300%. This is the guy. They said, how do you know that? And I said, because I seen him in my dream. That was the guy's face.
That's
It was
incredible.
exact. And I'll never forget it. They said, no, it's not him. It's this one because of this and that. I said, no, I don't care what you say. That was in my dream. And I'm working for Spirit. And this is what Spirit showed me. They walked out. That was it. Several weeks later, maybe a couple months later, sure enough, these 3 people are alive. And they're questioned that they got a confession out of the one I said 300%. That guy's away for life. I mean, because when you work for Spirit, it's coming to you for a reason, and you have to trust that. The biggest thing I tell my students, I do mentorship, and I tell them your relationship is with your guides. Your guides are the ones who are running the show, not you. You're just the channel. You have to trust them 500% or more, and don't ever doubt it. Because when you doubt it, that means you're thinking. And when you're thinking, you're blocking and creating.
Absolutely. Same thing I teach my
Yeah.
students.
Yeah.
They're your eyes and ears to the other world. Without them, this work doesn't work.
That's right. It's not about you. We're just the
No.
channel. Here's the spirit world. Here's the open tube. And here's this person sitting. We're the open tube. That's about it.
Let's talk about your new book, Forensic
Sure.
Medium, The Power of the Unseen. Why did you write it and who did you write it for?
I wrote it for my workshops so I could use that when I teach because everything I teach is in there. And there's 5 meditations that we do as well. But I honestly wrote it because I want everybody to understand that everybody's connected. Everybody's able to connect with the divine. We're divine spirits. We are just our souls, our divineness, our inner light system, whatever you might want to call it, is in these bodies, which is our astronaut suit. We need these bodies, and when these bodies don't work anymore, our divineness, our Atma, and our soul, inner light system leaves these bodies, and we connect to that collaboration of all the energies and other dimensions. Life continues, and we are taught that in many religions. We're souls first, we're energy first. And for me, it was really important for people to understand that. It was a calling for me. Absolutely. It still is every day. And I still have people around me that don't believe. I'm not here to convince anyone. I'm just here to work for spirit and help the people that I can help. And also live my life as a human being, having the human being experience as well. Because our lives here are just one dream. Think about time. People forget, oh my God, we live in space. We're on Earth. We're in the solar system. Hello, people. We are energy. We forget that because we get so socialized with our material world.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Totally. I just resonate with everything that you're saying. And in your book, I've read the book, I've gone through it. It's an amazing book, you guys. You
Oh,
can
thank you.
check it out in the show notes. You offer tools and meditations for beginners. What's one simple practice someone could try today just to begin
Hmm.
to learn that trust of their intuitive abilities, trust their
Yeah.
own intuitive hits?
Yeah. I did meditation. Go on YouTube. I actually have some up there on YouTube. But I also feel like just getting to know your inner self. Like there's a nadi pranayama in there, which is just breathing and breath and becoming the breath. You don't have to close your eyes. You don't have to be meditative. You don't have to sit there and go, oh. That's just one way of getting in a vibrational state. You can be meditative by walking, just
Mhm.
sitting and breathing, swimming, crocheting. There's so many different ways. Singing. You have to understand that there's much more than this human world. A great way for someone to practice. If you could do a guided meditation, that's a great way. I highly suggest that. It teaches you that imagination, you know how you daydream? It's no different than that. It's all energy. You know what I mean? It's understanding what you're thinking, what you're subconsciously creating, and what the universe is showing you. So, trust. How do you trust? What blocks your connection to the divine and yourself is doubting, lack of trust. You have to let go and give your 100% trust to your higher power, your higher consciousness, and who you are. Who are you? The best friend you can ever have is yourself,
Yeah.
and your higher consciousness. The only person that knows how to love you and the things that you need in life. So you have to bring that to yourself. But how do you trust the universe? How do you know? In our Western culture, it's taboo. It's,
Mhm.
oh, you're a witch. No, everybody's divinely connected and everyone is energy. So trusting in who you are is really important. You have to let go of the fear. And what is fear? We create our own fear by doubting. False evidence appearing real is what I say,
Yep.
FEAR. We create that. I always tell them when you find yourself fearing and creating fear, tell yourself that's fake news. It's not real. And so trying to make some inner adjustments is really important.
Looking
Yeah.
back on your journey from law enforcement to spiritual advisor, what's one thing that you wish people understood about the unseen world that you work with every single day?
From then till now.
You've had so many different experiences
Yeah.
on your journey, having those intuitive hits. Then you get into law enforcement, and now you're doing this incredible work of spirit. What's one thing you wish people understood about working with spirit, the work that you do? You've had so many different spiritual experiences based on these different milestones in your life, each so
Yeah.
uniquely different.
I would say everybody's the same. You can't get away from the truth. It's true. The truth in what we are and who we are as beings. And we're light, we're energy. And we can use that energy in so many different ways. I teach a lot now. I do a lot of teaching, and that's where I choose to put my energy. But even as a police officer, you have to be intuitive. A lot of times you have to read people in a sense. So it's your choice where you put your energy, but understand that the ego does get in the way of the connection to the divine. Remember that we're all divine spirits and we're all love. Even though there is negativity in the world, you have to look at the blessing from that negativity because it keeps you on your path, but it also brings balance as well. Understanding, for me, it's true. See, I used to say seeing is believing, but for me, experiencing it, I'm a believer. I don't need to tell or convince anybody because that's not why I'm doing this. I'm doing this to help people. I'm teaching people how to connect with the inner light and who they are. I find so many people nowadays, especially, they're searching, feeling incomplete, missing this. All they have to do is go within in meditation, in prayer, to the divine, to their higher selves, because everything you're seeking is already within you. You cannot change what happened an hour ago. It's important to remember it, but you don't have to stay stuck there. Be grateful for your past, even if it was painful. Try not to worry too much about the future because you can't control it, but you can manifest it. But staying more conscious is really actually good practice as well to being connected, because say you're eating something, how does it taste? How does it feel? How does it feel in your mouth? Be conscious of what you're doing. We're having so many extra sensory things going on with internet, this and that we're forgetting how to just be and understanding that we have choice. Everybody has a choice. If you're feeling not good about your life, you have choice. You can choose something new. You're never stuck. You could always make a new choice. And it's up to you to make that choice. No one is in control of that. This is your experience. We come into this universe as souls individually. Even though we come through our mothers, we still are individual. And when we leave, we're individual as well. So this is your journey. And what's most important is your experience. So you do have choice. Sometimes we're put in certain situations where we can't get out of, but you can make a new choice. And the choice can be in your mind. How are you going to experience it? Are you going to be sad about it? Or are you going to tell yourself, how can I look for the gratitude in this, in the simple things? And that's through love. To know that everything is happening for a reason. I have a lot of clients that come to me and they say, this happened. I said, sometimes we want to go forward, but we can't because there's walls in front of us and we need to go left. It's okay, go left. You're still going to end up where you need to be. It's just a new path, you know?
Can you tell our listeners what you have up and coming, or where they can find you?
You can go to my website at SheilaMarieMedium.com, and there you can find my book, and it links to my book site. I do mentorship. My passion is teaching. I do it online. I'm global. I do workshops as well. I also do have classes too. It's all online. And we have some galleries coming up soon for the fall, but I think there's an intimate gallery online as well too. So you can find all that on my website at
And
SheilaMarieMedium.com.
you can find all of that information below in the show notes. Sheila, it's been amazing having you on the show.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me.
It's so interesting to learn more about the forensic mediumship and how your path has unfolded with the work that you're doing with spirits. Thank you again.
God bless you.
The Connected Spirit isn't just a podcast, it's a remembering of who we are, a remembering of our connection to spirit, and a remembering that we are never walking this path alone. Mediumship isn't just about speaking with spirits. It's about deepening the connection to our own spirit, to one another, and to the energy that moves through everything. So as you leave this space, ask yourself, what part of this conversation stirred something within you? What connection is spirit inviting you to strengthen? If this episode spoke to you, please share it, leave a review, and connect with me on Instagram at Medium Courtney Dawson, or visit my website at mediumcourtneydawson.com. Your presence in this community matters, because connection isn't just about what we seek, it's what we are. Until next time, trust your spirit, trust the unseen world, and trust that you are always, always connected.